Everybody, welcome back to an episode of the Startup Junkies podcast. My name is Victoria Dickerson. I'm a startup junkie, and I'm joined by Jeff Ameriine and Grace Gill. How are you guys?
Doing great. Glad to be here.
Good.
Good day.
Today, we're joined by Stamatis Astra. He's the co-founder and head of product at Intelligent Relations, which is a platform that utilizes AI, artificial intelligence, to build broader and smarter relationships. Stamatis, how are you?
I'm great. I'm great. I'm based in Boston. As I was saying, it's going to snow in a little bit, but things are good. Things are good.
So tell us a little bit about yourself and about Intelligent Relations, kind of your background, your genesis, how you got things started to where you are today.
Sure. I guess I qualify as a startup junkie myself. I don't like this term that, the serial entrepreneur. I don't like that. I prefer the startup junkie much more. When I finished college in Boston, long time ago, I never got a real job, so to speak. It was always working with the companies that they had zero revenue. And always had our first asset was a PowerPoint back then, deck. That's what we had. It was the beginning of the internet and e-commerce back then, when email was just. I guess it shows how old I am. But email was just starting to get accepted at the college level. Having an email account was not really popular. And being in Boston and technology companies and things like that, a lot was about back then. It was about hardware, TCP and internet connections and all that. I got involved in startups right after that, and I think this is the fifth or fourth or fifth startup I'm doing. Intelligent relationships. Obviously, the technology has evolved: web, internet, web 1.0, web 2.0. Web 3.0, blockchain, and now AI is the hot topic, but it's fun to watch every couple of years how the flavor of the month changes, what investors chase for deals and for businesses. And when every time we say, oh, this is it, there will never be another Yahoo, there will never be another Google, there will never be another Apple, there will never be another TikTok. Now we have OpenAI, so there's always something that will keep evolving.
Talk a little bit more about what Intelligent Relations does and how it makes use of AI. Talk a little bit about the value proposition there.
Sure. I mean, we started this business about 2 years ago. A couple of entrepreneurs and venture partners from Boston. And it was during the pandemic, and we were frustrated with the public relations process. Public relations is a marketing piece, I should say, on the marketing strategy of every company. But to execute it, companies need to hire a PR firm. Usually the retainer is $20,000 a month. And usually it comes down to the privilege to access their Rolodex. We just, and we were upset every time we had a company that we had to pay $20,000 a month, and after a year, either happy or not happy, but that's the churn. That's usually the churn for PR is about a year and a half. Then you go to another PR firm or you stop. Or it was not a productized way of doing public relations. And we said, why I can do my advertising on Facebook ads or Google ads? Why can't I do my hiring on LinkedIn or any other hiring platform in a platform as a create a campaign, go straight to the people? Why I cannot find the relevant journalists that they cover my industry, that they cover my topics, and connect with them and tell them my story. So that's exactly what we did. Our technology is a combination of media monitoring, databases, and artificial intelligence, and allows us to, depending on the company, find the relevant stories, find the relevant journalists that cover these stories, and connect with them, create relationships with them, using the very powerful, AI, use GPT as well, using that very powerful tool in order to, proactive generate pitches. And I call this AI generation as an inspiration to the marketing people, or usually a junior marketing person is tasked to write those pitches. So instead of staring at a blank screen, AI finds the relevant topic, the relevant journalist, writes something out, and you can improve it. But the bottom line here is we allow any business to make it super easy to connect with journalists and get press.
That's great. And so far, what are some examples? You don't have to name names, but what are some examples of enterprises or companies that are buying the product today?
Yeah, I mean, it is a platform. It's a do-it-yourself platform. People can log in. We have hundreds of small, medium-sized businesses logging in. Obviously, this is not for a Fortune 500 enterprise that does a press release and is getting picked up immediately by the business media. I mean, that's a different thing. But small, medium-sized companies that they want their name to be in what's called earned media is our target market. It's like any other software as a service platform. You go, you log in, you create an easy account, and immediately we populate with relevant stories with journalists, and we give you ideas what to pitch. If you have your own press release, you can just put it there and distribute it to the media. And even more importantly, every day, based on your profile, again, because it's AI and it's trained, based on your profile and the pitches that you're writing, we find the relevant news and articles. And every day, you can go in and create 10, 15, 20 emails to those journalists and go and then say, you're covering this news story. This is what we think about. This is some data about the stories that you're covering. Let's connect. I'm an expert on XYZ. Let's have a talk. And that's as simple as it goes.
That's very cool. And are you using your own technology for prospecting for clients yourself?
Well, clients, that's a very good question. I mean, obviously, in any startup, the revenue growth is what investors and people are going to look for. So sales is a very important part of it. So I like to say we put our code where our mouth is.
Right.
I like that. So that's exactly what we do. For example, we target an industry. Let's say we target the medical, devices industry or digital health industry. We find 100, 500 companies that are the size of our sweet spot, between 10 and 200 employees, and we use our own technology. And we say to these guys, we look at your company. Here is the 3 top journalists that they would care about your story. And we actually give them the names as a prospecting tool. We give them the names of the journalists, and obviously the open rate and the reply rate, and it has been very, very good. That's a very specific way of using our own technology to do the prospecting.
Very cool. I think a question I would have is kind of how does intelligent relations fit into these companies? Now, obviously, you mentioned that it relieves a pain point for having to outsource it and pay a lot of money to a firm. But now, like, are you like within the company, is it a support role? Is it mostly just help with kind of like finding where that relevant content would be? Or does it just help with like the frequency so that these medium to small size companies don't have to have like a certain person to create all of that? Or does it have like a bigger role? Do you see AI, like software as a service products like this, becoming even more important in the future?
Yeah, that's an excellent question, and we have done some work on what is our ICP, not only as a company, what is the company profile, but who is the user of the company. And our main competition is not dollars. Our main competition is attention, time. So usually the user of the company is a fairly young employee, probably first or second job after college, who is tasked with everything that has to do with marketing. You better find SEO content. You go find the keywords for Google AdWords. You go make a list for partnerships. You go find a list of conferences or networking events I the CEO should go. And part of that list, go to LinkedIn and find out who we should contact. So part of that list is like, go find journalists to pitch. And we try to make it super easy. That's what I said. A person like that can literally go 2-3 times a week on the platform and see, okay, here is as I said, every day or every other day, here's the journalists that they cover this industry. Here's the pre-written email to send to them and start a conversation. That's how it is. Obviously, we have a very robust customer success team that helps to start. There's always little things you got to do: how to write the pitch, how to make a couple of points that will be more successful and get replies from the journalists, and we support them like that. But the big challenge is to make sure that the person who uses the platform can do it quickly, and that PR is a part of marketing. So the same way you can go to your LinkedIn and see your feed there and reply and try to connect with some people, the same way you should do that for the journalists.
Stamatis, one thing I'm curious about is that you said that this was your 5th or 6th venture that you've been a part of in your life. So clearly, venturing into that it's not scary to you. And I think that it is scary to a lot of people, jumping into the unknown, starting something new from scratch. So what is it that draws you to starting new ideas? What keeps you going? And what does the future hold for you?
So I have no idea what the future holds for me, but it's always been a situation where there was an idea and there was a couple of the right people around to help start it. And again, when people say I want to join a startup, there's very different levels of startups. There's a startup that is simply a PowerPoint or just a deck and that's it. And there's like 2-3 people. That's a startup. And there's a startup with seed round and 25-50 people that they pay salaries and do that. That's a different level. And then you have a startup which is after Series A with over 50 people, close to 100 that they're trying. Those are all startups. So it's different. It depends on the comfort level of someone where they want to go. The risk reward is huge. There is more failures than successes. That's I think that's obvious. And it is very gratifying to start something from zero. I think I believe the hardest thing is to go from zero revenue to $1 million. That's the hardest thing, and then to go from $1 million to 100 million. Very different companies, very different skill levels. It's not, and then 90% is who you're dealing with on a daily basis. That's the most important thing. You got to work with people that you're comfortable saying ideas. People should feel comfortable. If you're afraid to ask a question, or if you're afraid you're in a meeting and you're going to say an idea and you're going to get yelled at or being looked down, oh, this is stupid, then it's not a good environment. That's part of it. And the other thing is the ownership of ideas. People have an idea and they say, I think this feature, we should do this feature, or we should go after this market, or we should hire this person. And because they said it, it's like, it's like the dog, you pee on the lawn, you own the lawn. And it's their thing, and then it's very difficult for them to listen, to change, and to do that. So people like that are, that's the key to not just to success, because success is so hard. It's the key to at least have a happiness and a good relationship in working in a small environment.
Sounds like culture is a really big part. Having the right culture. The culture of how the people interact and right skills. It seems like the right culture and the right dynamic makes a lot of difference in your experience.
Yeah, and the way the startups work usually is that it's really what the founders are, what their values are and what their experience has been, and that transforms down all the way down. If you have 50 or 200 employees, you can always point to the culture of the company. It will come down for the 2-3 founders that they're there and they set the tone.
Another question, something we think about is, and I've been through the process 9 times myself in tech startups and in various different sectors, but I always kind of thought of it as, there's those people at the very beginning that are kind of the adrenaline junkies, that they like that clean canvas and the conceptualizing and maybe raising the initial money and getting the initial team together. There's the people that are kind of in the middle that are really good at growth, the 1 million to 100 million stage. And then there's people beyond that are a whole nother breed that kind of turn the crank on a proven model. Not everybody can fit in all 3 of those personas. Where are you most comfortable in that? Can you do more than one, or where are you most comfortable in that process?
Zero revenue. What they call the beachhead account.
Yep.
That's what creating the sentences that will showcase the value of the product to a partner and a prospect. Doing that 10, 20, 30 times, get the first clients, and then train other people to replicate the process. That's where I am most comfortable from. Zero, again, just the idea, and then you try to very succinctly communicate what's the benefit. If you want to do a partnership, if you want to sell the product, if you want someone to sign up on the platform, what's the benefit to them? But one sentence, very clearly, very succinctly, and try to get it there. Now there's so many tools, to create demand generation, product-led growth, trial and growth and all this, SEO content. Very, very important. So sales and growth is beyond just networking and partnerships and all that. So you got to set it all up, and then you get the next level of people that they say everything you set up needs improvement, and you're like, of course it does, because of course it does. But that's part of the job. You have, it's very humbling. It's like the first time you create the platform with your UX guys, you have a certain idea, you throw it out there, you get 100 users, and it's so humbling to watch. We do it. We let people video, take a screen share and video screen and see them how they actually use the buttons and the screens of what we created on the platform. and you just look at it and you go, oh my God, they're not doing anything that I thought they would. They're not using this feature. They're not using that. They don't know where to go. Go there, go. and then you just get another designer and someone else to look at it, and they piss all over it. And but you have to do it. You have to do it. And I always say to the team that, look, it's great that people give us feedback and they hate it. They give us improvement. They're there. They're using it. They're going to go there. I mean, I don't know if but the first Uber app, I don't know who remembers the first Uber app. What was that? 10 years ago.
Right.
Boston was one of the first cities they started it. It was terrible. I mean, but the people who create it, they put their their heart. Every app, it's not just anything. I mean, it's not going to go to. So it's very humbling. It's a very humbling experience.
Did you raise venture capital in all of your ventures, or some of them have you bootstrapped and kind of built them on customer revenues? Yeah,
in most of the ventures it was venture capital. This one was a little bit different because we had we were together, a couple of friends that we were in the venture business, and we had our own startups. And what we said is, let's have our own startups be the first clients. And so we started to kind of cheat it, I guess. We got a couple of easy clients early on, but that gave us, some revenue. And we said, let's build a product on what this, but we treated it as real customers. I mean, we created the product using that cash flow. And we didn't go and raise funds to create a MVP and test it out and see what it is. We had the customers. We start creating what we had. We start using it internally with the customers, and it took us about a year to make the platform public, so anybody can go in and use it. So that was a little bit different, but we were in that situation, and we said, let's try it. If worst case, this AI idea, if we didn't know if a journalist, do journalists want to get an email from someone unknown? It turns out yes, they do, and they reply. That's fine. So we didn't know a lot of things. We didn't know if the AI could work, or the matching, the databases, all that. But we said, if it doesn't work, at least we can turn it, instead of a software as a service, we can turn it just an agency, just a regular PR agency business. And then we went and we made an acquisition of a small PR firm. So we have all the PR expertise in-house. And now we are a tech company. We have a tech team doing all the platform, but also we do have all the PR people that we do all the managed services. So you can do it yourself, but you can get all the support from the PR on the background.
That's very clever. So I mean, it's a tech platform, but you can make it stickier by having the subject matter expertise internally that can do more of a professional service to go along with it. It's great.
Yeah, I mean, this is the every SaaS successful business will tell you that, look, we have a starting price, $9.99 or $95, whatever it is, or $100 a month. That's the starting price. But 80% of the revenue comes from companies that they pay $5,000 a month. And in order for a company to pay $5,000 a month, I mean, it comes down to be a managed service. I mean, there is some human support behind if it's Slack, or if it's HubSpot, or if it's any or the hiring platforms, recruitment platforms.
Gotcha. Great.
So as somebody who likes to kind of dwell in that idea stage very early, you mentioned earlier that you yourself was a startup junkie. What was different about starting Intelligent Relations, starting this type of tech company, working with AI?
that was different from your other companies, or something you didn't expect, a challenge that you had to kind of figure out?
Yeah, this was a little bit different again because, we started with a couple of clients and we had to service the clients, do real public relations work, and at the same time build the technology of the product. So it was a dual track. And now the challenge is to make sure that the platform is robust, the features are there, and we're still using it the same way. From a technology point of view, earlier, we have looked at GPT. That was the reason we started this. We knew the power of GPT, and we said it could work on press releases and pitches and all that. That was 3-4 years ago. It turns out it works on creating images and anything else. So that was that was something that we bet, and it worked out well.
Yeah, it's an interesting space. There was some coverage of it on the news, which is not, it's not going to be a revelation to you, but the idea that some of the founders, the people behind the core of that, are on a pathway to creating artificial general intelligence. We'll see if they get there. It's interesting. But some of the stuff it can do in the art space, one of the companies out there, I guess, is called DALL-E, after Salvador Dali, only with an E at the end, with throw out to the whole robotic side. But it can do some pretty amazing things in the art space as well. Spectacular stuff that will fit a certain genre. Pretty interesting. It's an interesting time to be in your space, I guess.
It is, and again, we try it as well. You train the model. It's kind of funny. You say you train the model. How do you train a spreadsheet you put it on a treadmill or something? But that's what we do. We train the model. We get the data. The more data we get, the more pitches and ideas the customers put in, the more able and robust the model gets in order to do all the matching, to create all this little content that makes sense to even, believe it or not, generate ideas based on what your company does and what the coverage of the news is. Is that the best idea? Will it replace a content writer? Probably not, but I'll tell you something. It will replace someone who does not know how to use this capability. For very basic, press releases and all that. As I said, it's an inspiration. You put it in, it gives you something pretty good. You just give it to a person to proofread it and edit it and put a little bit of maybe something else, and this is good. Can you do that in mass scale? Probably for those, for those mundane, content. Probably we're not that far off.
Exciting stuff. One of the ways we like to land the plane, and it's probably a question you've been asked before, but so you've got all this accumulated knowledge. You've sort of grown your career in one of the great tech hubs in the world. If you could take all the information and the wisdom that you have now and go back to that new college graduate that was you some years back, what pieces of advice would you give your younger self?
Trust your instinct and trust your gut. Sometimes we put our own self-doubt and we're saying, oh, I'm not, we compare ourselves, I'm not whatever your hero is. But you cannot compare yourself. If you're passionate, if you really have studied something and you really believe in something, believe in yourself and go out and do it. Don't put a question mark, put an exclamation mark. And if you fail, it doesn't matter. It doesn't. It doesn't matter. If you fail, it means that you're going to get up and do it again and do something else and you learn. But it's much better to fail with something that you really believe and it's in your gut than fail because you're following someone else.
That's great. That's great advice. And if our listeners want to find out more about intelligent relations or you, what's the best way for them to do that?
Our website, intelligentrelations.com. In the About section is the leadership team. I think there's information there for myself. Intelligentrelations.com. We have tools to write your own press release with AI and other things that people can use. Feel free to get in and do a test drive.
Hey, it's very exciting stuff. We really enjoyed the conversation today. Thanks for coming on and talking to us.
Thank you. Have a great 2023.
You too.
Thanks, Stamatis.
We'll see ya.
Ecosystem builders, entrepreneurs, chambers of commerce, mayors. If you're interested in taking your economic future into your own hands, we've got a book that can help you. Creating Startup Junkies, Building Sustainable Venture Ecosystems in Unexpected Places is the guide. It's a little bit inspiration. It's a little bit toolkit. What it will allow you to do is take your economic future into your own hands and build a sustainable small business, innovation, and entrepreneurial ecosystem in your backyard. If you'd like to hear more, check out creatingstartupjunkies.com. The Startup Junkie podcast reaches over 100 countries and has had over 100,000 downloads. If you're interested in reaching some of the most motivated and engaged innovators and entrepreneurs on a worldwide basis, give us a shout.